Hi students, welcome to Darshan Academy. So in this chemistry session, we can go through the questions, KEAM 2020. We can start from 73rd onwards. The first question in chemistry, in which one of the following reaction entropy decreases? In which one of the following reaction entropy decreases? We know that entropy means degree of randomness. Entropy decreases in which case? Sodium chloride is dissolved in water. When sodium chloride is dissolved in water, it is split up into Na plus and Cl minus. In the case of water is heated from 303 to 353 Kelvin. When the temperature is increases, what happens? The randomness increases. It is converted into gaseous state or randomness increases. Because, so we know that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. So again, sodium bicarbonate is decomposed to give a sodium carbonate, carbon dioxide, water. Decomposition reaction, randomness increases. Water crystallizes into ice. When water crystallizes into ice, due to hydrogen bonding, it get a open cage structure or randomness decreases. So randomness decreases in the case of which option? Option number D. Similarly, option E, dihydrogen molecule is decomposed into hydrogen atom. There also decomposition take place, randomness increases. So the point or the option where the entropy decreases is option number 4, when water crystallizes into ice due to the hydrogen bonding, water molecules are joined each other. Okay. The next question, the standard enthalpy of formation of water and carbon dioxide is given as respectively minus 286 kilojoule per mole and minus 394 kilojoule per mole. If the standard heat of combustion of methane is given as minus 891 kilojoule per mole, then the standard enthalpy of formation of methane. That means we need to find out the standard enthalpy of formation of methane. What is enthalpy of formation of methane? 1 mole of methane is produced from their constituent element combined in their elementary form. Therefore, we can write the enthalpy of formation of methane as 1 mole of methane. 1 mole of methane is produced from their constituent element carbon and hydrogen combines in their elementary form. So we need to find out the enthalpy change for this reaction. The information given in the question is enthalpy of formation of water is given. Enthalpy of formation of water means 1 mole of water is produced from their constituent element. 1 mole of water is produced from their constituent element combined in their elementary form. The enthalpy change during this process is given as minus 286 kilojoule. Minus 286 kilojoule is given there. Again, the second information given is standard enthalpy of formation of carbon dioxide. Standard enthalpy of formation of carbon dioxide means 1 mole of carbon dioxide is produced from the constituent element, carbon and oxygen. So the enthalpy change in the given reaction is minus 394 kilojoule per mole is given there. Again, the third information is the combustion of the standard heat of combustion of methane is there. Heat of combustion of methane means 1 mole of methane undergo combustion. The product obtained is carbon dioxide and water, because we know that every hydrocarbon on combustion result in the formation of carbon dioxide and water. Therefore, here also when methane undergo combustion result in the formation of carbon dioxide plus water. The enthalpy change for this reaction is given as minus 891 kilojoule per mole is given there. On balancing, we need to take a 2O2 and a 2H2O. So here from this three equation, we need to convert the enthalpy change for this above reaction. The only thing that we need to hear is that just rearrange this three equation and convert it into this fourth equation. Just rearrange this three equation. How can we rearrange? Multiply the first reaction with, in order to convert it into our equation number 4, we need to just multiply equation number 1 by 2 and reverse equation number 3. Reverse equation number 3. Please keep it in mind. Just multiply equation 1 with 2 and reverse equation number 3. We can convert this 3 equation into equation number 4, and the answer obtained is equal to minus 75 kilojoule per mole. Did you get it? Just convert these three equation into equation number 4. How can we convert it? Multiply equation number 1 by 2 and then reverse equation number 3. After that, we need to add equation 1 plus equation 2 plus equation 3, which is equal to equation 4. Okay. Then again, next question. So the equilibrium constant for the reaction phosphorus pentachloride dissociated to give phosphorus trichloride and chlorine molecule. At the particular temperature, the equilibrium constant is 2 into 10 raised to minus 2. The number of phosphorus pentachloride that must be taken in 1 liter flask at the same temperature to obtain the concentration of 0.2 mole chlorine at equilibrium. We need to find out the initial number of moles of phosphorus pentachloride that we need to take to get 0.2 moles of chlorine at equilibrium. Equilibrium constant is given there. Just keep it in mind. What we need to do here, just to find out the initial number of phosphorus pentachloride taken to get 0.2 mole of chlorine at equilibrium. How can we solve it? First of all, just write the balanced reaction. So phosphorus pentachloride dissociated to give phosphorus trichloride and chlorine molecule. This is the reaction here. So we don't know the initial number of moles of phosphorus pentachloride. We don't know the initial number of moles. So therefore, the initial number of moles of phosphorus pentachloride is taken as X. Initially, the number of moles of reactant are 0. Then at equilibrium, what happened? 0.2 moles of chlorine molecule is produced. As per this balanced reaction, if 0.2 moles of chlorine is produced, what about the number of moles of phosphorus trichloride formed here? As per this balanced reaction, when 1 mole of chlorine gas is produced, 1 mole of phosphorus trichloride is also produced. Therefore, when 0.2 moles of chlorine is produced, 0.2 moles of phosphorus trichloride is also formed there. And remaining phosphorus pentachloride means X minus 0.2. X minus 0.2. Therefore, from here, we need to find out the equilibrium constant. Equilibrium constant can be calculated as equilibrium constant Kc is equal to concentration of PCl3 into concentration of Cl2 divided by concentration of PCl5. Just substitute the value here. 0.2 equilibrium constant is given as 2 into 10 raised to minus 2. Equilibrium constant is given as 2 into 10 raised to minus 2. 2 into 10 raised to minus 2a is equal to 0.2 into 0.2. Concentration of phosphorus trichloride and chlorine molecule, which is equal to their number of moles because volume is 1 liter. We know concentration is equal to number of moles divided by volume. Here number of moles is equal to chlorine 0.2, phosphorus trichloride 0.2, volume is 1 liter. Therefore, concentration is same as that of number of moles. Therefore, concentration of PCl3 into concentration of Cl2 divided by concentration of PCl5, X minus 0.2. From this, we can simplify the value of X. On simplification, we get the value of X as 2.2. Therefore, option is option number B. Okay. Then again, the pH of a resultant solution obtained by mixing 20 ml of 0.01 molar hydrochloric acid and 20 ml of 0.05 molar calcium hydroxide. So just to find out the number of equivalents. How can we find out the number of equivalents? So here volume is given in milliliter. Therefore, we can find out number of milli equivalents. Number of milli equivalents is equal to normality into volume. Here we find out the number of milli equivalents. Here number of milli equivalents is equal to normality. Here in the case of HCl, normality is same as that of molarity. 10 raised to minus 2 into 20. In the case of calcium hydroxide, number of milli equivalents. number of milli equivalents, normality into volume. Here molarity, in the case of calcium hydroxide, normality is equal to molarity into acidity. Molarity into acidity, because here acidity is equal to 2. Therefore, normality is equal to 0.005 into 2, which is equal to 0.01 or which is equal to 10 raised to minus 2. Therefore, in the case of calcium hydroxide, normality is equal to 10 raised to minus 2. Therefore, milli equivalence is equal to 10 raised to minus 2 into 20. So, when we consider or when we compare the number of equivalents of calcium hydroxide as well as hydrochloric acid, it is found out that their number of equivalents are same. If same number of equivalents, that means the resulting solution is always neutral or pH is equal to 7. Resulting solution is neutral or pH can be expressed as 7. Okay. So here in this question, just to find out the number of equivalents or here number of milli equivalents, that is normality into volume. In the case of hydrochloric acid, normality means molarity into basicity. Here HCl, basicity 1. Therefore, normality means molarity itself. But in the case of calcium hydroxide, normality is not equal to molarity because acidity is equal to 2. Therefore, normality is equal to molarity into acidity or which is equal to 10 raised to minus 2. Therefore, from this we get an information that in the case of an acid as well as in the case of base, number of equivalents are same. If number of equivalents are same means it is neutral in nature or pH is equal to 7. Okay. Again, next question. When methane on reaction with the chlorine, it is converted into carbon tetrachloride and hydrochloric acid. In the above reaction, the change in oxidation state of carbon. So that we know that in the case of methane, the oxidation state of carbon is not +4, -4 because carbon is more electronegative than hydrogen atom. Therefore, the oxidation state of carbon is -4. While in the case of carbon tetrachloride, the oxidation state of carbon is +4 because chlorine is more electronegative than carbon. Therefore, the change in oxidation state is -4 to +4, that is option number C. Again, next question. How many moles of platinum will be deposited on cathode when 0.4 Faraday of electricity is passed through 1 molar solution of platinum 4+? So we know that when platinum ion can be converted into platinum or 1 mole of platinum by passing 4 moles of electron or by giving 4 moles of electron. 1 mole of platinum is deposited by gaining 4 moles of electron or how much Faraday? 4 Faraday. 4 Faraday gives 1 mole of platinum. Here we are passing only how many Faraday? 0.4 Faraday. 0.4 Faraday give x moles or x is equal to 0.1 mole. So from the equation it is understood that for depositing 1 mole of platinum we required 4 mole electron or for 1 mole platinum 4 Faraday is required. Therefore 0.4 Faraday can deposit how many moles of platinum? 0.1 mole of platinum. Option number E. When same amount of solute P and Q are separately dissolved in 500 gram of water, delta TF values are 0.15 Kelvin and 0.3 Kelvin respectively. If its molecular weight of P is 80 gram per mole, then find out the molecular weight of Q. Here molecular weight of solute P is given, which is given as 80 gram per mole. We need to find out the molecular mass of which solute? Q. Delta TF of P is given as 0.15 Kelvin and delta TF of Q is given as 0.3 Kelvin. We need to find out the molecular mass of which solute? Q. How can we solve it? By using the relationship between depression in freezing point and molecular mass. So we know that the colligative property is inversely proportional to the molecular mass of solute. Here depression in freezing point is inversely proportional to molecular mass of solute. Please keep it in mind. The colligative properties such as relative lowering of vapor pressure, elevation in boiling point, depression in freezing point, osmotic pressure. The colligative properties are inversely proportional to molecular mass of solute. Therefore, here also we can say that directly here the depression in freezing point is directly proportional to molecular mass of solute. Therefore, here we can express it as delta Tf of P divided by delta Tf of Q is equal to molecular mass of which solute? Q divided by molecular mass of P. By substituting the value, we can substitute the value delta Tf of P 0.15, delta Tf of Q 0.3, molecular mass of solute B 80, here X. By solving this, we get the value as 40 because X is equal to 0.15 divided by 0.3 into 80. A solution is prepared by dissolving 20 gram of sodium hydroxide in 1250 ml of a solvent with density 0.8 gram per milliliter. We need to find out the molality of solution. How can we find out the molality of solution? What is the formula to find out the molality? Molality is equal to number of moles of solute divided by mass of solvent expressed in kilogram, or molality is equal to given mass of solute divided by molecular mass of solute into mass of solvent expressed in kilogram. Given mass of solute is given as 20 gram sodium hydroxide. Molecular mass of solute sodium hydroxide we already know, which is equal to 40 gram per mole. The only thing that we need to find is mass of or amount of solvent, mass of solvent, given solvent. How can we find out? Density is given. So we know that density is equal to mass by volume. Therefore, mass of solvent is equal to density of the solvent into volume, which is equal to density 0.8 gram per milliliter into volume 1250 milliliter. Milliliter and milliliter cancel each other. Milliliter and milliliter cancel each other, which is equal to 1000 gram or 1 kilogram. We get the answer there. Mass of solvent is there. Just to substitute 20 divided by 40 into 1, which is equal to 0.5 mole per kilogram. Okay. This is one method. The second method, we can use the formula 1 by molality is equal to density by molarity minus molecular mass of solute divided by 1000. Just to find out the molarity here from this value. Okay. I think it is most easy to do. Just to write down the formula of molality and then find out the mass of solvent from density. Okay. So option number E. Then again next question. The rate constant of a first order reaction is given there. How long will 4 gram of this reactant is reduced to 2 gram? We need to find out the time required to convert 4 gram into 2 gram. How can we find it? First order reaction. The time required to convert 4 gram to 2 gram means just half. That means T half. Here we need to find out T half. How can we find out the T half for a first order reaction? Rate constant is given. So we know that for a first order reaction, T half is equal to 0.693 divided by rate constant K. For a first order reaction, T half is equal to 0.693 divided by K, which is equal to 0.693 divided by K is given as 231 into 10 raised to minus 5. On solving this, we get the answer as option number B. An endothermic reaction, A gives B has an activation energy 13 kilojoule per mole. And the enthalpy change for the reaction is given as 2 kilojoule per mole. The activation energy for the reaction B2A, that means we need to find out the activation energy for backward reaction. Forward reaction is given. Activation energy for forward reaction is given as 13 kilojoule per mole. Delta H is given as 2 kilojoule per mole. We need to find out the activation energy for a backward reaction. What is the relationship between this delta H, activation energy of forward reaction, activation energy of backward reaction? Delta H is equal to activation energy of forward reaction minus activation energy of backward reaction, or activation energy of backward reaction is equal to activation energy of forward reaction minus delta H. Just substitute the value of activation energy of forward reaction and delta H. The value obtained is equal to 11. 83rd question. Adsorption is accompanied by, we know that adsorption is a exothermic process as well as entropy decreases. Therefore, in the case of adsorption, delta H, in the case of adsorption, delta H is a negative exothermic process. Entropy decreases means delta S is also negative. Therefore, which is the correct option? Option number A. Decrease in enthalpy, decrease in entropy. Delta H negative, delta S negative. Okay. Then again, next question. In the coagulation of positive solid, the flocculating power of ions, phosphate ion, sulfate ion and chloride ion decreases in which order? Just use our Hardy-Schell's rule. According to Hardy-Schell's rule, the coagulating power of coagulating ion is depend upon the magnitude of charge possessed by the coagulating ion. Therefore, we can say that coagulating power is directly proportional to magnitude of charge or valency of coagulating ion. So when we consider the magnitude of charge of coagulating ion or the valency of coagulating ion, which will have a highest charge or highest valency or magnitude of charge? Phosphate ion, then next sulfate ion, and then next chloride ion. Therefore, the correct option is option number B. Coagulating power increases with the increase in the charge, magnitude of charge possessed by the coagulating ion or the valency possessed by the coagulating ion. Okay. Then again, next 85th question. Which one of the following nitrate does not give a corresponding metallic oxide, nitrogen dioxide and oxygen on heating? So the options given are lithium nitrate, beryllium nitrate, magnesium nitrate, calcium nitrate, potassium nitrate. That is, in option we can see both alkali metal nitrate and alkaline earth metal nitrate. So in our NCERT it is given that alkali metal nitrate on thermal decomposition result in the formation of metal nitrite and oxygen, except lithium. Lithium nitrate on thermal decomposition to give lithium oxide, nitrogen dioxide and oxygen. Similarly, alkaline earth metal on decomposition to give metal oxide, nitrogen dioxide and oxygen. Therefore, here we can write the equation as in the case of alkali metals, MnO3, alkali metals decomposed to give metal nitrite and oxygen. But in the case of lithium, exception for lithium, except lithium. In the case of lithium, the reaction is lithium nitrite decomposed to give lithium oxide plus nitrogen dioxide and oxygen. Similarly, when we consider in the case of alkaline earth metals, denoted as MnO3 twice. Alkaline earth metals on decomposition to give metal oxide, nitrogen dioxide and oxygen. So, with the information of this theory part given in our NCERT, we can say that lithium nitrate decomposes to give lithium oxide, nitrogen dioxide and oxygen. Metal oxide, nitrogen dioxide and oxygen. Beryllium nitrate, magnesium nitrate, calcium nitrate, both the three are alkali earth metal nitrate, which also decomposes to give metal oxide, nitrogen dioxide and oxygen. But potassium nitrate, alkali metal nitrate, which on decomposition to give potassium nitrite and oxygen, never give metallic oxide and nitrogen dioxide. Therefore, the metal nitrate which does not give metal oxide, nitrogen dioxide and oxygen is potassium nitrate, or our option number E. Okay. Next, 86th question. Which of the following statement is incorrect about beryllium? Beryllium is hydroxide is amphoteric in nature. Correct statement. Beryllium compounds are largely covalent because due to their smaller size, beryllium have the ability to form covalent compound. Beryllium is not easily attacked by acids. Beryllium exhibits a coordination number of 6. Wrong statement, because due to the beryllium is a first element, and due to the absence of vacant d orbital, beryllium does not have the ability to expand their coordination number above 4. Therefore, this beryllium does not exist coordination number 6. Therefore, this D option is a wrong statement. Due to the absence of vacant d orbital, beryllium does not have the ability to expand their coordination number up to 6. Beryllium hydroxide dissolves in excess of alkali to give berylate ion. Also correct statement. Therefore, the wrong statement or our option is beryllium exhibit coordination number of 6. Okay. The next one, 87th question. The oxo acids of phosphorus that contain 1 PaOH bond, 2 pH bond and 1 P double bond O bond. The oxo acids of phosphorus given is phosphenic acid, phosphoric acid, pyrophosphoric acid, hypophosphoric acid and pyrophosphorus acid. ഇതെല്ലാം ഫോസ്ഫറസിൻ്റെ ഓക്സോ ആസിഡ്സ് ആണ്. How can we solve this? Write down the formula or structure of these oxo acids. Then only we get an idea with regard to the number of POH bond, pH bond and P double bond O bond. In the case of phosphenic acid, the formula of phosphenic acid is H3PO2. Formula of phosphoric acid is H3PO4. Phosphoric acid, pyrophosphoric acid, H4P2O7. Hypophosphoric acid, H4P2O6. Pyrophosphorus acid, H4P2O5. So, from this formula, we are writing the structure. First, H3PO2, phosphenic acid. Phosphenic acid, H3PO2. One P double bond O. 1 P double bond O, 1 POH bond and 2 pH bond. So here we can see the presence of 2 pH bond, 1 POH bond and 1 P double bond O bond. Again, in the case of phosphoric acid, formula H3PO4, the structure can be represented as 1 P double bond O bond, then again 3 POH bond, H3PO4. Again, in the case of H4P2O7, pyrophosphoric acid, H4P2O7. Four POH bond. 4 POH bond, H4P2O7. Then again, in the case of H4P2O6, the all structures are given in our NCERT book. So this question is directly from our NCERT book, H4P2O6. Then again, finally, H4P2O5, pyrophosphorus acid. pyrophosphorus acid. There in the case of pyrophosphorus acid, 2POH bond, 2PH bond and 2P double bond O bond. Therefore, it is not the correct answer. In the case of H4P2O6, 4POH bond and 2P double bond O bond. H4P2O7, 4POH bond, 2P double bond O bond. In addition to that, we can see POP bond also. H3PO4, P double bond O, 1 and 3POH bond. Whereas in the case of phosphenic acid, we can see 1 POH bond, 2 PH bond and 1 P double bond O bond. Therefore, which is our correct answer? Phosphenic acid is our correct answer. That is option number A. So, this question is completely based on our NCERT book. Again, next one, 88th question. Choose the correct statement about diborane. It is prepared by the oxidation of sodium borohydride with iodine. Sodium borohydride on reaction with iodine result in the formation of diborane, which is considered as the industrial method of preparation of a diborane. Then again, it undergo cleavage reaction with the Lewis base to give an adduct. So we know that diborane have a tendency to react with the Lewis base, which undergo cleavage result in the formation of an adduct, which on reaction at a temperature of 473 Kelvin converted into boracene or borazole, which is called as a inorganic benzene. Therefore, the second statement is also a correct statement. Then again, it is produced on the industrial scale by the reaction of a boron trifluoride with lithium aluminium hydride. Industrially, diborane is prepared by the reduction of boron trifluoride, but instead of this lithium aluminium hydride, we are using sodium hydride at a temperature of 450 Kelvin. Therefore, this third statement is a wrong one, but 1 and 2 is a correct statement. It is readily hydrolyzed by water to give boracene. It is a wrong statement. It is hydrolyzed to give boric acid, not boracene. Therefore, fourth one is also a wrong statement. It burns in oxygen to give boron trioxide with the liberation of a large quantity of heat. Therefore, this fifth statement is also a correct statement, completely according to our NCERT book. Therefore, the correct statements are 1, 2 and 5. Therefore, the correct option is option number B. Okay. 89th question. Which one of the following actinide has no electron in 6d orbital? To solve this question, we get an idea with regard, or we have a knowledge with regard to this electronic configuration. Which are the elements, actinoids? 14 elements immediately after actinium: thorium, protactinium, uranium, neptunium, plutonium, americium, curium, berkelium, californium, enstinium, fermium, mendelevium, nobelium, lawrencium. So here, in the case of protactinium, the electronic configuration of protactinium, outer electronic configuration 7s2, 6d1, 5f2. In the case of neptunium, 7s2, 6d1, 5f4. In the case of lawrencium, 7s2, 6d1, 5f14. I just write the outer electronic configuration. In the case of curium, 7s2, 6d1, 5f7. In the case of plutonium, 7s2, 6d0, 5f6. Therefore, which one have no electrons in d orbital? In the case of plutonium. So, this question can be solved only with the help of this electronic configuration. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ NCERT ബുക്കിൽ തന്നിരിക്കുന്ന ഇലക്ട്രോണിക് കോൺഫിഗറേഷൻ മുൻപോട്ടുള്ള എക്സാമിലാണെങ്കിലും നന്നായിട്ട് നോക്കിയിട്ട് പോകാവുള്ളൂ. ഓക്കെ. The catalyst used in Walker process for the oxidation of ethane to ethanol is palladium 2 chloride. Okay, that we already know. There is no need to discuss much more about that. Then again, next one. The correct formula of dichlorobis triphenyl phosphine. That also, here I am directly give the answer. That is dichlorobis triphenyl phosphine. Dichlorobis triphenyl phosphine nickel 2 complex. Option number E. Then again, 92nd question. Which one of the following is an ambidentate ligand? Ambidentate ligand means the monodentate ligand which can join with the central atom through more than one site. Joined with two central atom through more than one site. Example, SCN minus is an example for a ambidentate ligand. Okay. 93rd question. 93rd question, which is not correctly matched. The ore is given there and their composition is given in the right side. Ore or siderite. Siderite is an ore of iron, iron carbonate. Therefore, the first one is a correct statement. Calamine, zinc carbonate. Sphalerite, zinc sulfide. Colonite, aluminium silicate. This ore is called as a colonite. Then cuprite. Cuprite is nothing but this cuprite is a Cu2O is considered as a cuprite. Therefore, the wrong matching is option number E.
Hi students, now we can solve organic questions. I think you know that yesterday's examination, 10 questions are from organic chemistry and biomolecules, environment chemistry, polymer, then everyday life having 7 questions. So that now we can solve 17 questions. Then your experience, yesterday's experience, you know that most of the questions are directly from NCERT text. On one of few questions, I will give explanation. Others you can directly find the answer. Anyway, we can solve the questions. Okay, we can start from the number 94. This question is from A2 version. You know that. Then the first question. See, which one of the following is a benzenoid aromatic ring? Benzenoid. That means you know that benzenoid means the compound with the benzene ring. See. Very easily you can find, say, cyclooctatetrene. So not a benzene ring. Yeah. Here is hexane, it's an open chain alkyne, aliphatic compound. Cyclohexane. Cyclohexane alicyclic compound, saturated alicyclic compound. What about this C option? Sorry, last option, that is E cyclopentadiene. That's also an alicyclic compound. What about the D option? D option, that is toluene. What is toluene? Toluene means methyl benzene. That is toluene. So this will be the aromatic compound. You know that benzene and the derivatives are aromatic compound as well as it has benzenoid structure. Clear? It's an easy question. Okay. Then we can go for another question. See the next question, that is 95th question. See, the question is about the ozonolysis of alkene. You know that what is ozonolysis? During ozonolysis, alkene reacts with ozonide to form an ozone to form an ozonide. Is an unstable explosive compound. What will happen that next we are reductive ozonolysis by using zinc and water. That is what is called simply ozonolysis. What is happening during ozonolysis? The double bond having carbon, that double bonded carbon with the hydrogen atom, it is converted to an aldehyde. The same time, if a double bond or multiple bond with no hydrogen atom, it will convert it to ketone. Here our question is 2-methyl butuanine. So that we can write it in like that. 2-methyl, that is 2-methyl butuanine. This is 2-methyl butuanine. So easily we can find the answer. Look here, where is the double bond? Here is the double bond. Then here this side is only having one carbon atom. If one carbon atom having an aldehyde, you know that is HCHO. What is that? Methanol, or that is called a formaldehyde. Then what about this side? This carbon having no hydrogen atom, so it will convert it to a ketone. What is the name of that ketone? See, this will be the product. These are the two products. So we have to name the product. From the right side, we can number in 2, 3, 4. Actually, butan 2-on, and this is methanol or formaldehyde. See, what is the option here? The C option, not methanol. That is an alcohol. Clear? So that we can go for another question. That is 96th question. What is here? The 96th question. Which one of the following is not an isomer of 3-methyl butane? See, 3-methyl butane. That means but contains 4 carbon atom and another branch having third position methyl group. So the total number of carbon atom is 5. So what about the first option? But is there 4. Then 2 other methyl group. 4 plus 2, 6. So here the molecular formula is entirely changing. Other cases, pent. Here also pent. Here also but plus 1 methyl pen. So that here also penta 1, 3 diene. So, which one is the not an isomer? That is first option. First option is the right answer, which is not, because it has how many carbon atom? 6 carbon atom. Others have 5 carbon atom. Our question also having 5 carbon atom. Clear? See, another point is butane. Alkynes are isomeric with alkadiene. Alkynes and dienes. Okay. And also cycloalkene. Please remember that point. Okay. Anyway, the next question, we can go for the next question. That is 97th question. What it is saying? The compound that does not undergo hydrolysis by SN1 mechanism. SN1 mechanism. You know that what is SN1 reaction? SN1 reactions are the characteristics reactions of haloalkane. SN reactions. It can be classified into SN1 and SN2. Here is SN1 reaction. It is a two-steps reaction. There is a carbocation is formed as an intermediate. Wherever or whenever the carbocation, stable carbocation will form as intermediate, that will undergo SN1 reaction. So that we can say that the reactivity of SN1 reaction or alkyl halide towards SN1 reaction, that is tertiary, secondary, primary. Okay. Then what about the aryl halide and nucleophilic substitution reaction? Aryl halides are less reactive towards the nucleophilic substitution reaction. Other thing is aryl halide also undergoes nucleophilic substitution reaction, but that is SN2. There the carbon ions maintaining the process. You know that Dow's process, etc. So what is the apt answer for this question? That is aryl halide. So that C is the right option. Clear? Clear? Then next question, we can go for the next question. That is 98th question. What it is saying? Who's a direct question? We can find what is an example for a secondary alcohol. You know the secondary carbon, that carbon is attached to other two carbon atom. If OH is attached there, the secondary. Please listen. What about this side? First option, 2-methyl butanol. That is a tertiary, because methyl and 2-ol, there the tertiary is not an answer. What about the others? B, butanol primary. Others is 2-methyl butanol. They are also a primary. What about the third option? 3-methyl butanol. There's a secondary. Whenever you will get this type of question, please draw this structure. That's the easy way to find the answer. Clear? So here also we are getting answer 98 question. The D option is the right option. What? The next question, what is 99th question? The 99th question, this is a previous question. Outside question is from our book. Okay, that an organic compound with a molecular formula C7H6O form 2,4-DNP, 2,4-dinitro, then phenyl, that is DN, ammonia derivatives. You know that all the aldehydes and ketone react with the DNP, 2,4-DNP. But another point is, already they are saying that the compound, the formula A, please then slipping from our board so that the organic compound here is A, the molecular formula is given, that is reactive to 2,4-DNP, okay, either aldehyde or a ketone, okay. Then what about the second point? And reduces tolerance reagent. There is a little bit change in the question that they reduces tolerance reagent. It should be an aldehyde. Only aldehyde, aromatic aldehyde and aliphatic aldehyde reduces tolerance reagent. So that now we are confirmed that there is an aldehyde. The other part is saying when A is heated with concentrated KOH. What would the concentrated KOH and aldehyde reaction? Cannisaro's reaction. Cannisaro's reaction means aldehyde without alpha hydrogen atom. No alpha hydrogen atom undergo Cannisaro's reaction. One product is giving. You know that during Cannisaro's reaction, self-oxidation reduction will take place. One, we are getting acid salt. The same time we are getting alcohol. Here clue is given. Then it gives sodium benzoate. Then what is the next product be? Benzyl alcohol. Clear? So we can say that E is the right option for this question. Okay. Clear? The next, Cannisaro's reaction. I already said. During Cannisaro's reaction, what will happen? The aldehyde without alpha hydrogen atom. No hydrogen atom with alpha position. So we can find which one has no alpha hydrogen atom. What about this C option? See, if you write the molecular, say, We can write the structure of this compound 2,2-dimethyl 2,2-dimethyl butanol. That is the option here. If you look here, this one is alpha position. There is no hydrogen atom on it, so that it will undergo Cannizzaro reaction, formaldehyde, benzaldehyde. All these are give Cannizzaro reaction. Correct? Clear? See? But in the case of aldol condensation, aldehydes and ketone having alpha hydrogen atom. In Cannizzaro reaction, only aldehyde undergo Cannizzaro reaction without alpha hydrogen atom. So many exceptions also. Please read NCERT. Clear? All the questions organic chemistry are from direct question, max from NCERT text. Okay. 101st question. Which of the following can be prepared by Gabriel Thallamide synthesis? You know that Gabriel Thallamide synthesis is the laboratory preparation of primary aliphatic as well as primary aralkyl amine. That means secondary tertiary amines cannot be prepared the same way aryl amines or aniline cannot be prepared. See, this reaction is a nucleophilic substitution reaction. That is why aniline cannot be prepared, because alkyl halide or aryl halide is using. I already said that what? Aryl halides are less reactive towards nucleophilic substitution reaction. So you can find directly an answer, that is allyl amine. What about the allyl amine? Allyl amine is amino group is attached to allyl carbon. What is allyl carbon? The sp3 carbon next to double bonded carbon. If NH2 is there, that is allyl benzene. So that Thallamide is first react with the potassium halide, potassium hydroxide. The same time, then second step is to the alkyl halide. Here is allyl halide is using, so that hydrolysis to give corresponding amine. That is the process. But here our question is, which of the following can be prepared by Gabriel Thallamide synthesis? So that allyl amine or the D option is the right option. Then next question, how will you, the reagent is used to distinguish between secondary amine and tertiary amine. So NCERT is saying that benzene sulfonyl chloride, Hinsberg reagent test. Hinsberg reagent test. What would the Hinsberg reagent test? The tertiary amines cannot be react, whereas primary and secondary react with the Hinsberg reagent to give a precipitate. Whenever we adding an alkali, the primary will dissolve, precipitate of primary will dissolve, but secondary will be insoluble. But our question is, how will you distinguish secondary and tertiary? So that what will happen during addition of Hinsberg reagent? Tertiary will not react, whereas secondary will react. It will give what? A precipitate. But there is no option about Hinsberg reagent. The last part of that paragraph, NCERT is saying, instead of Hinsberg reagent, nowadays we are using what? Paratoluene sulfonyl chloride or PTS. That is the word. It is also from NCERT, not outside. Here is A is the right option. Clear? The next question, that's a 103. Choose the correct statement. Direct, very, very direct question from NCERT. See, the cellulose is also known as, here is animal starch. It's not correct. Or a linkage between two monosaccharide units, that's through glycosidic linkage. It is not correct. The glucose on oxidation with the bromine water gives, normally I am saying it's not correct. Glucose on oxidation with the bromine water, you know that the product is gluconic acid. So this is also a wrong answer. Then the D option saying that carbohydrates are used for say storage. No. Storage a molecule as starch. No. See, whatever the last option, water insoluble component, there is rightly from organic sorry, our biomolecule chapter, that is water insoluble component of starch is amylopectin, that is seen in NCRT. That first paragraph you can see that answer and the same sentence. Okay, clear? Then so that E is the right option. Then we can go for the next one, that is 104th question. Among the following, which one is a non-reducing sugar? That's a direct question. That is the first paragraph question. That is sucrose is the right answer for that. Sucrose is a non-reducing. Wait. See the question, and I'll mark the option. That is sucrose, the option. Clear? The next is the 105th question. All other questions, it is from polymerization, that is copolymerization, is a preparation of bakelite, that is also known as melamine formaldehyde. That's also only one choice is here, that is melamine, that is also known as melac. Melanil is melmac, melac or melmac. See, melamine formaldehyde or melmac, that is the right answer. Then 106th question, which one of the following forms biodegradable? That is a direct question. Very, very direct question. It can be from 3-hydroxybutanoic acid and 3-hydroxypentanoic acid. In this year, the 2020 questions, most of the questions from other chapters are direct questions. Also, the same questions we can see in NCRT, the same sentence. So I think most of the questions are very, very easy questions. So the other questions, we can go for the next question. I am then antimicrobial. The first antimicrobial, there is sulforaphane. It contains 2 arsenic molecules. You can see the structure there. Most of the class we said, please look the structure, so that are like you can see the same answer from here. So then the next one, which of the following statement is not correct? That already we answered the question. You know that I said during the last statement, the glucose on oxidation with the bromine water, there they said hexane. That time I said not hexane, it forms gluconic acid. So here it is saying that saccharic acid. So it is not a right sentence, a wrong sentence. Our question is, which one of the following statement is not correct? Others are reducing sugars. We know that lactose is commonly known as milk sugar. The sugar present in the lactose means milk. That's already, we know that others are glucose pentacid. It does not react to hydroxylamine. In the same way, glucose already having aldehyde group, but it does not undergo 2NP reaction because of this cyclic structure. Only open chain compound, open chain aldehyde and ketone are giving DNP test. Clear? Then the next question, which one of the following is an anti-fertility drug? Only one compound we have, that is norethindrone, that is anti-fertility drugs. Which one of the following is greenhouse gas? You know that certain gases have a tendency to hold the heat radiation. They are known as greenhouse gases. Carbon dioxide, methane are the major. Then also it can also have a tendency to hold our heat radiation. So here the right option, that is methane, is the answer. So these are the questions. 17 question from this part. Then you can see that the most of the questions are direct questions from NCRT. So that please go through the NCRT. Most of our questions will come from NCRT, no doubt at all.
Next question, which one of the following, 111th question, which one of the following will have a largest number of atoms? 1 gram of gold atom, 1 gram of sodium, 1 gram of lithium, 1 gram of chlorine molecule, 1 gram of oxygen molecule. We know that gram atom of every element consists of Avogadro number of atoms. Gram atomic mass of gram atom or gram atomic mass of every substance consists of Avogadro number of atoms. Gram atomic mass of gold is almost 197. 197 gram of gold is equal to how many atoms? Avogadro number of atoms are there. Therefore, 1 gram of gold is equal to how many atoms? Avogadro number divided by Avogadro number, Na divided by 197 atoms. This is the number of atoms in first option. Then again, second option. Second option is 1 gram of sodium atom. The gram atomic mass of sodium atom is 23. 23 gram of sodium atom is equal to Avogadro number of sodium atoms. Or 1 gram of sodium atom is equal to how many sodium atoms? How many sodium atoms? Avogadro number divided by 23 sodium atoms are there. Then again, option number C. Chlorine option number C, lithium atom. Gram atomic mass of lithium is 7. Therefore, 7 gram of lithium is equal to how many atoms? Avogadro number of lithium atoms. Avogadro number of atoms are there. Therefore, 1 gram of lithium is equal to how many atoms? Avogadro number divided by 7 atoms are there. Again, option number D. Chlorine molecule. Chlorine molecule, molecular mass, gram molecular mass is 71. 71 gram of chlorine molecule is equal to Avogadro number of molecules, or how many chlorine atoms are there? 2 into Avogadro number of atoms are there. Again, 1 gram of chlorine molecule is equal to how many atoms? 2 into Avogadro number divided by 71 atoms are there. Again, option number E. 1 gram of oxygen molecule. The gram molecular mass of oxygen molecule is equal to 32 gram. 32 gram of oxygen molecule is equal to Avogadro number of oxygen molecule, or how many oxygen atoms are there? 2 into Avogadro number of oxygen atoms are there. Therefore, again, 1 gram of oxygen molecule is equal to how many atoms? 2 into Avogadro number divided by 32 atoms are there. So from these 5 options, we can conclude that in which option we can see maximum number of atoms. ഏത് ഓപ്ഷനിലാണോ ഡിനോമിനേറ്ററിൽ ചെറിയ വാല്യൂ ഉപയോഗിച്ച് ഡിവൈഡ് ചെയ്തേക്കുന്നത് അവിടെയല്ല മാക്സിമം നമ്പർ ഓഫ് ആറ്റംസ് വരുന്നത്. അങ്ങനെ കമ്പയർ ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ വിച്ച് വിൽ ഹാവ് ഹയർ നമ്പർ ഓഫ് ആറ്റംസ്? ഓപ്ഷൻ നമ്പർ സി. In the case of 1 gram of lithium atoms, maximum number of atoms. Therefore, the correct option is option number C. So, in order to solve this question, the only thing that we need to keep it in mind that gram atomic mass of every substance consists of Avogadro number of atoms. Similarly, gram molecular mass of every substance consists of Avogadro number of molecules. In chlorine molecule, Avogadro number of chlorine molecules, or 2 into Avogadro number of chlorine atoms are there. Similarly, in oxygen. Okay. Then again, next. An organic compound contains 24% carbon, 4% hydrogen, and the remaining is chlorine. Find out the empirical formula. What is mean by empirical formula? The simplest relative whole number ratio of atom is considered as an empirical formula. How can we find out the simplest relative whole number ratio of atoms? So, the element given is carbon, hydrogen and chlorine. The percentage of composition of carbon is 24%, hydrogen 4%, and the remaining is chlorine, that is 72% is chlorine. So, the number of moles can be calculated by converting this percentage of composition into gram and divide with the atomic mass. Therefore, the number of moles of carbon is 24 divided by 12, which is equal to 2. In the case of hydrogen, 4 divided by atomic mass 1, which is equal to 4. Chlorine, 72 divided by gram atomic mass of chlorine 35.5. Approximately, this is also 2. Therefore, again, in order to find out simplest relative number of moles, we need to divide the number of moles with the smallest value of number of moles. ഈ നമ്പർ ഓഫ് മോൾസിനെ നമ്മൾ ഏത് ഉപയോഗിച്ച് ഡിവൈഡ് ചെയ്യണം? ഇവിടെയുള്ള ഏറ്റവും ചെറിയ നമ്പർ ഓഫ് മോൾസ് ഉപയോഗിച്ച് ഡിവൈഡ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ വി ഗെറ്റ് റിലേറ്റീവ് നമ്പർ ഓഫ് മോൾസ്. Therefore, here the smallest number of mole is 2. ആ 2 ഉപയോഗിച്ച് ഇവിടെ എല്ലാ ആൾക്കാരെയും നമ്മൾ ഡിവൈഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നു. 2 divided by 2 which is equal to 1. 4 divided by 2 which is equal to 2. 2 divided by 2 which is equal to 1. We get a simplest relative number of moles is obtained. The simplest relative number of moles is converted into whole number. It is already in whole number. Therefore, the simplest relative whole number ratio of atom is 1:2:1. Therefore, the formula is CH2Cl, or option number is option number B. So please keep it in mind. Empirical formula means simplest relative whole number ratio of atom. In order to find out simplest relative whole number ratio of atom, first find relative number of moles. In order to get the relative number of moles, divide the number of moles with the smallest value in the number of moles. So we divide the number of moles with 2. We get simplest relative number of moles. To get the number of moles, divide given mass with atomic mass. Given mass means the percentage of composition is expressed in gram is the given mass. Okay. Therefore, option number B. The next question. The IUPAC name of an element unbinillium. Un means 1, bi means 2, nil means 0. Therefore, the atomic number of an element unbinillium is 120. Option number C. Okay. Then again, next question. The number of electrons, protons and neutrons in a species are equal to 10, 11, 12. Then find out the proper symbol of the species. Number of proton is equal to 11 means atomic number is equal to 11. Atomic number 11 means the element is sodium. Therefore, if number of proton is equal to 11 means it indicates sodium atom. Am I right? Again, the number of electron is equal to 10 means there is a deficiency of 1 electron. Therefore, it is a Na plus ion, sodium ion, deficiency of 1 electron. Neutron is equal to how much? 12. Neutron is equal to 12 means mass number can be expressed as mass number is equal to proton plus neutron, which is equal to 23. Therefore, the species can be expressed as sodium ion with mass number 23. Which is the answer there? Option number sodium ion with mass number 23. Option number D. Proton means atomic number. Therefore, we get the element as sodium. Electron number 10, that means deficiency of 1 electron. From number of neutron, we get an idea with regard to mass number. Okay. Okay. Again, next question. Which one of the following element represent Eka silicon in Mendeleev periodic table? Eka means after. Therefore, the Eka silicon means element which is coming after silicon. The element which is coming after silicon is germanium. Okay, therefore option number B. Then again, next. The correct match among the following: lithium, sodium, potassium. Example for which one? Alkali metals. Therefore, alkali metals A. Then again, beryllium, magnesium, calcium, alkaline earth metals B. Oxygen, sulfur, selenium, oxygen family or chalcogens C. Then silicon, germanium, arsenic, semi metals D. Therefore, which is the correct option? First, A belongs to 3, A belongs to 3, B belongs to 1, C belongs to 4, D belongs to 2. Therefore, the correct option is option number C. Okay. Then next question. Which one of the following molecule is formed by sp3 dehybridization? BRF5. Which hybridization? sp3d2 hybridization. sp3d2 hybridization. Phosphorus pentafluoride. sp3 dehybridization. So we know the method to find out the hybridization state. We can use the shortcut H is equal to half into V plus X plus A minus C. V represent valence number of electron, X represent number of monovalent atom, A represent anionic charge, C represent cationic charge. In the case of sulfur hexafluoride, hybridization state is sp3d2 hybridization itself with the octahedral shape. Hexamine cobalt complex. So please keep it in mind related to this coordination compound. Normally NH3 is a weak field ligand, but in cobalt complex NH3 acts as a strong field ligand. Therefore here the hybridization is D2sp3 hybridization. D2sp3 hybridization. Again, in the case of tetrachloroplatinate complex, the hybridization state is dsp2 hybridization. Therefore, from this 5 option, sp3 dehybridization is phosphorus pentafluoride. So we need to find out sp3 dehybridization. Therefore, the correct option is option number B. Okay. Next, the correct order of bond energy of the following molecules. Correct order of bond energy of the following molecules. Oxygen molecule, boron molecule, carbon molecule, nitrogen molecule. So we know that bond energy is directly proportional to which one? Bond energy directly proportional to bond order. അപ്പോൾ ആർക്കാണോ ബോണ്ട് ഓർഡർ കൂടുതലുള്ളത് അയാൾക്ക് ഏത് കൂടുതലായിരിക്കും? ബോണ്ട് എനർജി കൂടുതലായിരിക്കും. So in order to find out the bond energy or relation between the bond energy, first of all we need to find out the bond order. The bond order of the formula to calculate bond order is equal to half into number of electrons present in bonding molecular orbital minus number of electrons present in anti-bonding molecular orbital. In the case of nitrogen molecule, bond order is equal to nitrogen molecule bond order is equal to 3. In the case of boron molecule, bond order is equal to 1. In the case of oxygen molecule, bond order is equal to 2. In the case of carbon molecule, also bond order is equal to 2. ഞാൻ ഈ ഫോർമുല ഉപയോഗിച്ച് ബോണ്ട് ഓർഡർ കണ്ടുപിടിച്ചപ്പോൾ നൈട്രജൻ മോളിക്യൂളിൻ്റെ കേസിൽ 3, ബോറോൺ മോളിക്യൂളിൻ്റെ കേസിൽ 1, ഓക്സിജൻ്റെയും കാർബണിൻ്റെയും കേസിൽ 2 വെച്ചാണ്. So here in the case of oxygen and carbon molecule, bond order is equal to 2 or both have same bond order. Therefore, which will have higher bond energy? So while we consider in the case of oxygen and carbon, we can see that, or while we consider the electronic configuration as according to our molecular orbital theory, in the case of carbon molecule, the electronic configuration is sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2, sigma 2s2, sigma star 2s2, pi 2px equal to pi 2py. In this orbital, 2 electrons are each. Total how many electrons? 12 electrons. 4, 6, 4, 8 plus 4, 12 electrons are there in the case of carbon molecule. While we consider in the case of oxygen molecule, the electronic configuration, total 16 electrons. Sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2, sigma 2s2, sigma star 2s2, sigma 2pz, z2, pi 2px which is equal to pi 2py, 2 electrons each, pi 2px and pi 2py, pi star 2px having energy equal to pi star 2py, 1 electron each in pi star 2px and pi star 2py. While we consider this electronic configuration, it is understood that in the case of oxygen, the number of electrons present in anti-bonding molecular orbital is equal to number of electrons present in anti-bonding molecular orbital is equal to 6. Whereas in the case of carbon molecule, the number of electrons present in anti-bonding molecular orbital is equal to 4. Therefore, while we compare oxygen and carbon molecule, even if both have same bond order, but due to the higher number of electrons in anti-bonding molecular orbital in the case of oxygen. Oxygen have a lower bond energy or lower will be the stability. രണ്ട് പേർക്കും ഒരേ ബോണ്ട് ഓർഡർ ആണെങ്കിലും ഓക്സിജൻ മോളിക്യൂളിൻ്റെ കേസിൽ ആൻറ്റി ബോണ്ടിങ് മോളിക്കുലാർ ഓർബിറ്റലിലുള്ള ഇലക്ട്രോണിൻ്റെ എണ്ണം കൂടുതലായതുകൊണ്ട് സ്റ്റെബിലിറ്റി കുറവായിരിക്കും, അഥവാ ബോണ്ട് എനർജി കുറവായിരിക്കും. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് വൈ ദ ബോണ്ട് എനർജി ഓഫ് ഓക്സിജൻ മോളിക്യൂൾ ഈസ് ലെസ് ദാൻ ദാറ്റ് ഓഫ് ബോണ്ട് എനർജി ഓഫ് കാർബൺ മോളിക്യൂൾ ഈവൻ ഇഫ് ബോത്ത് ഹാവ് സെയിം ബോണ്ട് ഓർഡർ. Therefore, which is the correct order when we compare all the four molecules? The bond energy is least for which one? Boron, then oxygen, carbon, nitrogen. Therefore, the correct option is option number D. Okay. The next question. The type of attractive force that operate between gaseous hydrogen chloride molecule is dipole-dipole interaction, because in the case of hydrogen molecule, due to their polarity, it have the ability to possess a dipole-dipole interaction. Option number A. Next question. Schottky defect is shown by, what is mean by Schottky defect? Defect arises due to the mixing of equal number of cations and anions. In Schottky defect, or Schottky defect is arises only when cations and anions have almost same size. Therefore, which is the correct option? Ionic substance in which cations and anions have same size, that is option number B. Therefore, our correct one is option number B. These are the questions that here we can see in our KEAM exam, KEAM 2020. How is the question? So, according to my view, these questions are very, very easy. So, the only thing that we need to keep it in mind that we need to increase our sharpness. നമ്മുടെ ഷാർപ്നെസ് പരമാവധി കൂട്ടാൻ വേണ്ടി നമ്മൾ ശ്രമിക്കുക. എളുപ്പമുള്ള ചോദ്യങ്ങളാണ്, പക്ഷേ ചെറിയ അശ്രദ്ധകൾ ചിലപ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ ആൻസർ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മുടെ ശരിയായിട്ടുള്ള ആൻസറിൽ നിന്ന് മാറ്റി നമ്മളെ ബബിൾ ചെയ്യാനുള്ള ടെൻഡൻസി ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പം നമ്മുടെ ഷാർപ്നെസ് പരമാവധി കൂട്ടുക, അക്യുറസി കൂട്ടുക. ഈ ഷാർപ്നെസ്സും അക്യുറസിയും കൂട്ടാൻ വേണ്ടിയുള്ള ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട കാര്യം എന്നുള്ളത് ഡു മാക്സിമം നമ്പർ ഓഫ് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ആസ് യു ക്യാൻ. ഓക്കെ. So, by the analysis of these questions, the only thing that I need to give, or the only thing that I need to share with you is that do maximum number of questions. Questions maximum theory portionsനെ ബേസ് ചെയ്താണ് വന്നിരിക്കുന്നതെങ്കിലും തിയറി പോർഷൻസിന് ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻസ് കൊടുക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതിനല്ല നമ്മൾ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കേണ്ടത്. തിയറി പോർഷൻസ് നമ്മൾ പഠിക്കേണ്ടത് ഏതിലൂടെ ആയിരിക്കണം? മാക്സിമം നമ്പർ ഓഫ് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതിലൂടെ ആയിരിക്കണം നമ്മൾ തിയറി പോർഷൻസിലേക്ക് പോകേണ്ടത്. So, with the light of these questions, do maximum number of questions based on these portions, and do very well in your coming NEET exam as well as JEE exam. Okay, thank you students.